And we're live. Welcome to the Three Amigos podcast. And here's Mark with the stats.
Hello. And I can't believe it. I just wrote Brian in to do the intro and
I like that intro. It's like perfect.
yeah. And I
Here's
created
some stats.
I created a graphic to do the network stats, and I've just gone to share my screen and Sod's Law is bloody playing up. 1 second.
You better hurry. I'm going to beat you to it. I'm going to spoil your surprise here.
Well, that is frustrating, gentlemen. It's not showing. Well, I've got the numbers in front of me, so I don't mind reading it off, unless you had something prepared, Brian.
I do not. You sprung it on me at the last minute.
Okay, well, here are the Dash network stats. The price of Dash 20 minutes ago was $185. The market cap is $1.3 billion, close to 1.4. The 24-hour volume is over $50 million today. That's pretty high going. Active masternode count 4,572. So for masternode owners, Dash per month, that's 6.9 Dash, which works out before expenses about $1,277. Regarding the treasury and the budget, days left to vote, there is 10 days left to vote for masternode owners. The treasury budget currently stands at over $1.2 million, and approved proposals in the treasury is currently 10 out of 15. And those were the network stats.
Yes, it's for more information on all that. If you go to stats.masternode.me, there's a lot of good stuff there.
Yes. It's been an interesting week, stats-wise. It seems like a long time ago now, but at the beginning of the week, we had the price dip, and I believe it went down to about $120 at its lowest. And then it went up to a high during the week, about $193. And now it's kind of hovered back down to about that $185 mark. So it's been a pretty roller coaster week. Guys, thoughts on the price action?
Yeah, what is our all-time high? It's like 225 or something like that?
Yeah, I believe it's around that number. Need to get back up there. Need to push that up. Hopefully, the big news of the week was it yesterday or the day before the Dash quarterly Q2 2017 report came out. Hopefully, when that starts syndicating and doing the rounds, because there was so much information that, and I take my hat off to anyone that managed to sit all the way through, because that's well, I managed to get through most of it and make a few notes to help Joe with his article. But I mean, yeah, this is crazy, and I'm sure we're going to get many questions about that.
Yes. So I mean, since we just did an article on it, right? I might as well go over some of the highlights, because there's some really important things. I'm going to go for the bottom up because it's like least important to most important. So it seems like Core has a new HR director. So that's good, because you kind of need someone to help manage the massive inflow of just the veritable army of people employed by Dash Core, right? So that's good. That's definitely a good thing. Core is going to continue to work with communication with the community, which obviously they've been doing so many things that it's kind of hard to find the time to do all that stuff. But I believe Ryan said on the call that the go-to person with the community should be Philip or Tungfa. So, I mean, let's keep on leveraging him for the go-between. And supposedly business development priorities will be focused on establishing more on-ramps to Dash acquisition, right? Because right now, every time something happens with Bitcoin, Dash follows accordingly, because so much of Dash's volume comes through getting Bitcoin first. And so I think that the business development team is going to be focusing a whole lot on actually doing that, right? On actually getting people easier options to go straight into Dash. And now, there's 5 items on this list. First up from the bottom up, right? Proposal fees will supposedly be reduced. Now, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. I know there have been a few different proposals on proposal fees being reduced, and they've all been shot down in a fairly spectacular fashion, right? One was to reduce the proposal fee to 0.1 Dash, which would be almost like $20 right now. And then the other one was to reduce it to 1 Dash, which would be, almost a couple $100s, and both of them failed. And it seems like Core has it on their roadmap. They're going to soon address lowering the proposal fees. Now, I don't know if that's going to be that was always the plan. I heard it was sort of always the plan, but then the masternodes have sort of voted against that sort of thing. So I don't know how that's going to work.
They're going to have to vote. They're going to have to just put it up for a vote. They're probably going to need to have a vote in the forum, maybe the top 5 in the forum, and then the top 3 out of those they could put up to a vote for the masternodes, and I guess they'll just have to burn the Dash. I'm sure they've got plenty of reserves.
Yeah, I was just thinking, actually, perhaps we should address something first, because the Q2 report was so big and there's so much stuff to discuss. First off, I feel like I need to apologize to everyone watching, because on the last podcast, I said that we should be having Charlie Shrem, as he cancelled last Friday. And when I asked him to appear on this podcast today, last Friday, when he cancelled, he said, sure. So it seemed like a good thing. And pretty much all week, I've kind of been chasing him up, not just to come on the Free Amigos podcast, but also to update the proposal on the Dash forums, which he's been absent from for about 17 weeks now. So it's kind of been one of those days where everything goes wrong, because coming up to the podcast, I just assumed that obviously Charlie was going to bail. So I actually lined up.
Remember I told you to do that? I told you count on him bailing. Yeah, which is kind of sad that you have to assume that of someone, but whatever.
It's sad. But basically, CoinGun actually, I kind of wrote him in a few days ago to be a reserve guy just in case. And he said he was up for it, but literally like an hour before, he's gone to see a friend, and they're in a cabin like really remote, so they're on like satellite connection. They've only got like a 1 megabyte, sorry, one meg like internet stream, so we wouldn't even be able to get him on audio. I doubt he could even stream music on that. So unfortunately, that fell through at the last moment as well. So it's just the Free Amigos today. But we can talk about Charlie now. We can talk about Charlie later. I did see an interesting update actually in the Slack, actually, just before I came in. As I was putting the YouTube link, I saw Joel, actually. I saw someone sent you a link regarding Payzer and Charlie. I think it's from WikiWacko. I thought that was quite interesting. I don't know how to interpret it, but I don't know. Do you want to share your screen, or should I bring it up, or do you want to discuss?
Bring it up. I don't have it present.
Okay. Well, I'm not in Slack at the moment, but basically the general gist of it was that WikiWacko, I hope I got that name right. He contacted the support of Payzer, and he basically went straight to it and said, "Hey, Payzer, did you know that Charlie Shrem got such and such amount of Dash proposal to offer a Dash debit card via Payzer, you guys?" And basically they responded with something along the lines of, we're aware of it, but the money wasn't to integrate Dash within Payzer. It was to offer like a Dash debit card. There was no quid pro quo agreement at all, which was quite interesting. So yeah, and just for a little recap, I feel a bit uncomfortable talking about this, because it was only in the last 2 podcasts we were telling the community to sort of calm down, like stop calling Charlie a scammer, or just give him time. Let's just see what happens. And I'm starting to feel a bit nervous, guys. I hope I'm not the only one, but he did actually say last week when I asked him. I just tweeted him saying, "Hey Charlie, I'd be really grateful if you could update the forums," and put a screenshot of the forum saying like it was 17 weeks ago he was last in that. An update would be great. And he was like, "Sure." So I thought, oh great, this is awesome. and it's been completely dead since. So,
yeah, and that's I'm sure he can't operate that way with his job at Jax, right? It's not a professional behavior, and I understand we're all like busy and things like that. But he's been on Twitter all over the place, tweeted about woohoo SegWit 2x, so he has time to like answer people stuff, including an answer of, "Oh, sorry guys, it's been delayed. There's some stuff that I need to talk to you about, but I don't have enough time right now, so let me get back to you next week." I mean, even something like that is an extension, right? Something that just says, I'm actually paying attention. I'm not, not just jerking you around. So I'm pretty sure in the coming days or the coming week, we're going to have to sort of give him a little bit of a hit. Just wake him up a little bit.
What's the timeline? When was it? It was 3 months.
How long has it been? I believe the title was to deliver it in March originally. But yeah, it's been 17 weeks since his own thread of the proposal that he put since he's updated, which is just crazy. That's a crazy long time. I know since then, obviously, I think it was probably about a month ago now, he came into the Slack and said that he was working with MasterCard and he had to keep things on the down low so it would pass. But the thing is, Slack isn't the right channel to do that, because we all know, because there's so many members in Slack, that the history isn't recorded and it's not the best medium to do. The actual proposal thread in the Dash forums that he created should be updating that, and he has promised people countless times to update. I just say this isn't a witch hunt against Charlie. I actually want this card. I'm in the UK. Pays is based in the UK. I want this card. And in his defense, last Friday podcast when he cancelled, he did say he had some wedding prep to do. I don't believe it was his own, but sometimes things do like pop up. But I mean, saying constantly that you're going to update and kind of bailing twice is not really a good indication for things to come.
He told people in the Slack, because he asked in the Slack, because I guess he had made some updates there before, and people were complaining, and then he said, well, where should I post it? And people said, in the forum where you originally, asked for the pre-proposal, and he said he would do it, but I guess it hasn't been done. He was working with Core on a few things, so I can't imagine he would.
At least that's what he said. Maybe that's a good way of like delaying the thing.
I think it was official. He was supposed to do a tour in Europe or something. I don't guess there was any video or anything that came from that, but then I think he was working with Core on something else. But that doesn't. I mean, it's better than nothing. But we've had other people work with Core.
Yes, and now Halawi in the live chat says, same with the 10x dude, goes off and does something else. Yeah, that's another. Let me tell you guys.
What is it with debit cards, man? What is it with debit cards? Come on.
Shady people, man. I don't know. Like, I remember being so excited because, 10x is going to be so cool. It's going to come out right away. It's going to beat Charlie Shrem's card to the punch, which is still might. I mean, that's the funny part. Who knows? But then they had that cool YouTube video about just putting it in, paying for McDonald's with Dash, and it was like, this is cool, let's wait for it to be out. And I know a few people have the card, and no one has, to my knowledge, has been able to pay with Dash yet. And it seems like it was just part of like I think the Dash Treasury was a pre-ICO. So it's kind of shady. That's a little bit shady, but that segues right into another point on the Dash the core team's conference call. They're building new legal structures for the Dash network. Now, this is big stuff here, right? This is really important stuff because it changes a lot. Dash core team is going to be setting up some sort of a Swiss trust, which will legally control all of Core's assets. So rather than Core being like a company or corporation or whatever, it's going to be part of this Swiss trust, which is owned by the masternode network, right? So legally as well as just on the blockchain. So that means that if this thing's going to encompass other things as well, right? So masternode owners will be able to have ownership over everything the treasury funds if those parties so choose. So the interesting thing in this context is they can through this Swiss trust, they will be able to, the master network will be able to negotiate equity in companies they invest in. Now, that's big, right? You don't just pay for an integration that then they give for free to another coin. You pay for the integration and you get equity in that company. So then Dash ends up owning part, and not Core, right? Just Dash as the network ends up owning part of those companies. Now that's big. And another thing is the Dash network in general legally can enter into legally binding contracts with contractors. So therefore, if a contractor enters into this legal agreement with the Dash network, that means that they can get their behind sued off if they don't deliver. So all these problems we're having right now, we're bitching about debit cards and stuff, and in the future we might be able to take these people to court. And not we as in Dash Force, not we as in Dash Core, but just Dash as a whole might be able to legally do that. And I think that's I'd rather have a world where we don't have to resort to legal action ever, but it does offer a good disincentive for fraud.
Yeah, hopefully there's an escrow type system. I haven't had time to listen to the call yet, but hopefully there's some kind of escrow system built in that would also help. The combination of two contracts and escrow would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, I do think we should clarify that Payzer now actually offers a Dash card. We've discussed this previously on other Free Amigos podcasts, but they actually support up to 50 different cryptocurrencies. It's like a top-up card. That was the interesting thing about Charlie's one, because no one knew that Payzer were going to announce that. So the big question mark for us was, wow, well, how's Charlie going to work this angle? Is he going to have lower fees, especially for Dash? But with that support message from earlier, that seems to have not gone to Payzer, it seems, at all. It's just to offer a Dash branded card using Payzer. Leaves a lot of questions, really.
Yes, that's the challenge is, unfortunately, I mean, that seems like a little bit of a misleading. I mean, this is assuming we ever get a card at all, right? That is not sure at this point. But if we do, and it's just a Dash branded Payzer card, just a standard thing, that is a little bit false advertising / fraudulent. And even there's no legal agreements there's a lot of public and social pressure, especially since that reflects badly on Jack, since they employ this guy. And it could be a lot of bad press. And I don't know. We're talking about ugly things. This is not something I like to take part in, but you just took money from Dash. Like, what do you expect?
That's the frustrating thing. As Joel pointed out, he's such an avid Twitter user, and he's constantly giving updates about Bitcoin and everything else. And he's constantly said from the beginning he would be giving updates and everything else, but he's been completely silent. Yet he'll comment on basically anything else. Bitcoin
he'll retweet. He'll retweet Fluffy Pony at will, but he won't answer the Dash community. I mean, that kind of annoys me personally. But whatever. Enough tech and smack about Charlie. I'm sure we'll have more time to do that in detail later.
Yeah, the fees were something that a lot of people can't bitch about because they all voted for the proposal without having the fees. I specifically asked several times about the fees. Like I said in the previous podcast, I'm sure he'll come through with the card. I can't imagine he wouldn't. I don't see any reason. The issue is, what are the fees going to be? If the fees are the same as all the other 50 cards, then we have a problem, because he said that he was going to use that money that was going to be somehow allocated back to the network. The community said, no, we can't do that, or we don't want to do that. Make the fees as low as possible. So the fees are supposed to be as low as possible. That's what the money's going to. And then one other note I did see, but have not had time to watch, 10X did have some kind of an update on YouTube. People can check that out. I have not had time to watch it. But I believe it had something to do with the Dash card. And it was Q4 was what was the last thing that they were promising.
Yes, indeed. So the other updates on the core thing, we have 3 more quick bullet points. First thing is there's going to be the first Dash conference ever in London at the end of September. I see Mark smiling over there.
I'm
give
going to
a
be
double
there.
thumbs up. Yeah, you better be there. You're close. You're very close, right?
I need to speak to Robert, find out what's going on. Going to go there, rep Dash Force. I think it'd be a great opportunity to meet people, set up interviews. I think it's going to be brilliant. I need to know more information about this. I want to. Yeah, this has got me pumped.
I might try to show up too. I haven't renewed my passport. Hopefully I can get that done in time, but that might be fun. I went to graduate school about an hour north of London anyway, so I have a bunch of mates I can meet up with there. So we'll see. Anyway, no promises I'll be there, but there's supposedly going to be one in China next, and the information on the call was kind of scarce, and so I'm not going to make too many other speculations, but that's pretty good too.
We actually know, me and Brian actually know more about that. Brian more so than myself. So it's called BitCon. And
so you con people out of their bits?
No, it's con is in conference. But yeah. We Brian actually got a message the other day from one of the core translators in China that we have, relations with. We know everyone, right? Everyone knows everyone within Dash, and he passed on information about the event and stuff. But yeah, I won't go into too much detail, but he's very excited about it. And I think the key interesting thing to take away from the conference call about China was that apparently Core is in communications with some of the exchange operators in China and also some of the miners as well. So let's see what happens. We've seen Bitmain this week launch a mining hardware for Dash, which is quite unusual because it's normally quite a scarce thing and difficult to get hold of mining equipment for Dash. So it sounds quite promising. Oh, also Japan as well, which sounds like another great thing. One thing though that I didn't expect and I'm looking forward to is they said in 2 weeks' time there'll be a press release, and where Dash Core has a strategic business partnership with Block Cipher. They say that they've worked into new areas, new industries, new sectors, being healthcare, IT, and also energy. Areas in business and sectors that have not been introduced to blockchain technology yet, but they said they had lots of exciting news, and they'll be releasing a press release in 2 weeks' time. What that could be, I don't know, but that sounds quite great. Anything that's innovative, that hasn't been done before, I'm all for. So that sounded great to me. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Any speculation of what it could be?
Oh, there's so much going on in the Dash ecosystem, and a lot of it is related to Core, and they're both overworked, and they have a attitude of let's under promise and over deliver. So a lot of the speculation, you just have to wait with them because they're going to deliver. They're not going to tell you beforehand, and you got to listen to everything they put out to sort of make bits of it.
Yeah, they have the Core has a track record, at least Evan does, starting going back for years, of under promising and over delivering. So yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, the healthcare one just sounds really interesting. I can only speculate on what it could be. I'm guessing it's probably US based, as we kind of have social healthcare in the UK. We do have private healthcare, but you're talking probably less than a few % of the population. So we've got the NHS. Come on, the UK.
Yeah, it's funny when I was there, I was supposed to register, and I never did. I just skipped the forms. Luckily, I never got sick while I was there, so that was good. But they were every student needs to register, and I was like, nah.
Yeah, I think I know. I got a little bit of inside information on the healthcare thing. I believe it is free medical marijuana for all Mastodon owners.
Yeah.
Well, that would be nice.
I think my beard just got a bit longer.
How about Mastodon share owners? Do we get a nug?
Yeah, we'll throw y'all a gram. Y'all get a nug. Y'all get a dab.
What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Do you reckon
is that going to be the next unit in the Dash decimal? It's going to be a dab.
Ooh,
dab.
I like that. I'm voting. That's got my votes. 2 thumbs up.
Is there any kind of like big weed festivals in like the US or somewhere that we could kind of sponsor? That'd be like a great outlet, especially with Hempfest. Oh, that sounds fantastic.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, Seattle.
But like, guys, you got to help me out here because, like I said, I don't think healthcare-wise it could work in the UK. In my head, I'm thinking this must be kind of insurance-based, but without getting too political, I know in the States you can buy obviously private healthcare. I know there was the Obamacare, which was a complete disaster. I think they're trying to, repeal that now and do something different instead. But like the majority of people in the US have private healthcare, right? So I wonder how it kind of works with that. Like, pay with Dash, or I really don't know how this is going to work. Or is it a hospital system? Medical records, they could use the blockchain for that. I don't know, man. What could it be?
Well, let me
it's private, but it's government controlled though. We don't have, it's not like, so yeah, our medical system's been, it's been shit for a while. So yeah, it's not the private, free market. It's the government's been involved forever.
Well, in a very brief tangent about healthcare, that reminds me of, in the US, there's a bunch of surgery centers that are popping up that list their prices online. They're not like hospitals per se, but they're like free market outside of the insurance system. And a couple of years ago, when Amanda was still living in New Hampshire here, Pete and her went on this kayaking trip, and then he tried to lift the kayak, and his bicep got detached from his arm, right? So he got a bad injury. And so they found that in a surgery center, I believe in Oklahoma, there was just like a cash surgery center, and they went there and they negotiated to pay in Bitcoin for the surgery. So he got his arms fixed up in Bitcoin. That was like a couple of years ago. So
I remember reading about that.
That's so alien to me. Like, obviously, Brits, when they go on holiday, they get holiday insurance because we know not everyone is like us. But and also that goes for Europe as well. A lot of Europe has social healthcare. But that sounds. So what? How do they price things up? Is it per treatment, or like is it per hours of treatment, or is it just different?
I think. Obviously, with the free market, you charge whatever the hell you want for whatever. But they just say, they advertise, you want this done, this is what it costs. So
how do you stop rogue doctors then? Because one guy might be charging astronomical fees. So
so you go to the one who doesn't.
Yeah, it's just
a free market.
To quote Craig Wright, it's called capitalism.
Yeah, but what if you're in an emergency, like you get hit by a bus, or and you're rushed to hospital? You can't really choose your location, right?
You can't really, but obviously, with the free market, there's different providers. I do know that currently hospitals do not refuse service based on inability to pay. Like, they just bill you, and then that happens. Obviously, the service is a little bit. There's been a lot of different things. Fun fact: my grandfather was a poor Italian immigrant who was a doctor in the military because he couldn't get a job as a curly-haired white guy, because they were racist against Italians back then. And after he got a bunch of specialties, he opened the first HMOs in Arizona. That was during the 50s, I think. And HMO is like a subscription-based hospital. It's not like you get insurance. So you pay a subscription to the hospital, and if you get sick, you get treated, right? So it's sort of like you just pay for, it's like everyone pays in, and then that pot of funds goes to whoever's sick at the time. It's like a risk diffusion mechanism, sort of like insurance, except just direct with the hospital you're going to.
Yeah, they can't refuse your service at the hospital. But like Joel said, there was that. I remember reading about that Oklahoma one a while back, and that is a pure free market type enterprise. But I would say 99% are like deal with the insurance companies, and it's a complete mess.
Yeah,
healthcare's a mess.
I should just say it's not like a utopia in the UK. Technically, we do pay for the NHS. We pay with our taxes, but it's mandatory. So it's not like completely free for all, although we do have a huge problem with health tourism. People come here, have babies and stuff. And then obviously there was a big scandal last year that we're meant to ask countries to kind of rebate us to pay for services. But anyway, let's move away from the healthcare.
Yes. Let's move away to marketing. So according to Core, in Q3 of this year, they will be hiring a marketing firm. right? And I think we remember there was a lot of controversy, as they say over in Mark's end of the world. There's a lot of controversy over the whole hiring a marketing firm thing, because the folks over at Dash Treasury and Amanda V. Johnson specifically were very adamant that Dash is an amazing technology and it needs to be properly marketed to get out there and into the minds of the general public. And there was a lot of disagreement or debate on how that should work out and should we or when. And anyway, so apparently Core's got that in the official works, that in the third quarter of this year, they're going to hire a marketing firm, and they've been looking around at which firm to hire. So, I mean, that doesn't invalidate anything said previously, but it does provide a little bit of closure, right? It's like, this is happening, then we'll see if it's a good thing or not.
It sounds quite major, but it's kind of vague in detail. But basically, the gist of it was they said this week, they said in the next week, they're going to be selecting a marketing firm, and it's going to be in the running. There's two top global multi-tier marketing firms, and they're both giving presentations to the core team this week, and they have to choose one. Well, if they do a good job anyway. So it sounds quite major. I can't wait to hear more information. Understandably, they can't give details if they haven't selected anyone on, right? They don't, who knows what could happen. Could be Charlie Shrem all over again. Like, who knows? No. I don't want to jinx it because I want this so badly. But
yes, it's funny because marketing is an interesting buzzword in the crypto community now, because I remember back in the day, I mean, Bitcoin being the pioneer of this amazing technology that we're all leveraging had just so much grassroots enthusiasm, like buy Bitcoin in front of behind the Federal Reserve chairwoman, right? Things like that, just like, hey mom, send Bitcoin, just all this energy. And now it's like a lot of these different blockchain technologies are starting to think about marketing. And for the longest time, just Dash having Amanda on board as like a representative was sort of derided by a lot of the more cypherpunk elements of cryptocurrency, and just all our Dash is all marketing and all this kind of stuff. And now it seems like it's pretty front and center that you need to actually market your coin to get the best out there. And it's funny because there's a whole subreddit for Monero marketing now, and they seem to be one of the communities that's most resistant to the idea of overt marketing. But I go all over Reddit, and in that sub in particular, I see something about marketing almost every week. Someone says something about, I know you guys don't like marketing, but what if we did this? Or should we rebrand? And there was a lot of stuff there about rebranding Monero as digital cash or something, which is, I think, pretty funny because that's kind of been Dash's stick for a while. But anyway, the point being, it's been an interesting cultural shift in the crypto sphere where now people are saying, oh, we actually have to market our stuff. This isn't just cypherpunk stuff like Linux style that just sort of spreads word of mouth to other nerds. It's like, this is something that we need to hire professionals to take to the general public. And that's a very fascinating shift. And I don't know if Dash has been responsible for that, but since no one's denied it overtly, I'm going to let Dash sort of take credit for that.
Yeah, they're still going to troll. They're still trolling on the marketing thing, which I always found was so ridiculous. I mean, that's how, if you want to run a successful company or decentralized autonomous organization, you're going to have to market. And, Fluffy Pony, that's what he does all the time. That's his shtick. He flies around and goes to all the conferences and he markets. And he pretends like that's not marketing. That's what he's doing. I mean, just because he says don't buy Monero at the things or whatever.
Yes. But that's the funny thing though, is they were previously saying all marketing sucks. And that was one big annoying thing that they just hammer on. Dash is all marketing. They just market it. If you're at a good coin, you wouldn't market. Now they're actually saying we need to market Monero. They're actually embracing the term. It still has some resistance, but it's showing that like the cultural shift comes from, oh wait, this stuff works. Trying something, there's no shame in doing a thing that works. If you got the best tech out there, if you can actually change lives and change the world, why not do whatever you can to make sure that world-changing technology touches as many lives as possible. And that attitude is sort of starting to grow through the crypto community, even in the more resistant areas.
Yeah, now all they need is a governance system to be able to afford it. Instead of, I guess they'll operate on donations.
I have a question for Brian. Let's have some fun. So regarding the Janet Yellen buy Bitcoin sign, Brian, how much would you pay someone if they went live on TV with maybe the old school "Hi Mom, send Dash," or just the Dash sign? If they could get on live on TV with a sign, how much would you reward someone? How much would you pay someone to do that?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm sure the community would help out too.
What do you think would be worth it?
I don't know. It depends on the venue and stuff, but they'll definitely get some Dash Force tips for that, and then we'll get the community to send them some money too. Yeah.
Didn't Alex Jones do that as well? Like during the presidential run. Like how much was he? Well, we probably Dash Force funds probably don't stretch that far, but I mean,
it depends on what it is. It could be anywhere from 250 to 500 to. It just depends on how big it was.
You're a legal guy, right? So law-wise, is that okay? Well, I mean, like, rights brigade, your history and that sort of stuff. So basically, as I'm not familiar with US law, in terms of, I mean, if it's live TV and they're on the street and there's a reporter and then you run up behind, you can't,
that's free speech. As long as you're legally authorized to be in that area, as long as it's not private property, no trespassing, that kind of thing. As long as you're not jumping behind the president of the United States and the Secret Service is going to jump on you and put a cap in the back of your head. As long as you're not doing something crazy like that, you can do whatever the hell you want. This stuff happens all the time. In fact, if you look at YouTube, there's a bunch of videos of people like outright heckling news anchors on the street. It just happens all the time, especially in some like poor neighborhoods. And I'm on TV, buy my mixtape. I mean, there's memes about that. It's almost all in the U.S. because interesting thing about the U.S. I mean, you can say, well, which place in the world is more free? There's obviously there's a lot of ups and downs in every place. The things that the U.S. has always been very big on have been guns and free speech, right? Can legal firearm ownership and the ability to just express whatever you want in whatever venue. Of course, they'll steal all your money and they'll prevent you from smoking weed and all that kind of stuff. But those are like the two big things that seem to be, I guess, the hallmarks of American freedom. So in regards to the Dash marketing thing, absolutely everywhere.
What about, now this might be different on a state-by-state basis, but the recent presidential run was just all over the TV here, as you can imagine, on the news. But one thing I kept picking up on was there was lots of people out and they were just plastering posters everywhere on lampposts, buildings, everything. Now in the UK, if you did that, you'd get more than a slap wrist because that's like kind of private property. Is there laws against that? I mean, like if people printed out loads of Dash posters and they just walked around town just slapping them up everywhere or that sort of stuff. Because I saw these kind of Hillary posters, right?
Yeah,
New York and places like that.
I did that. It was I don't know. So do you know what Swarm City is? The theory of
I know what Dash Force Swarm is.
Yeah, that's something different. Anyway, that started something called Arcade City, which before that was a thing called Free Uber here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, because the town of Portsmouth banned Uber, and there was a few Uber drivers got together and started doing this resistance campaign. And so I was part of that, and they crowdfunded a few Bitcoin to incentivize people for doing stuff. And so I remember many nights going up all over the town of Portsmouth, stapling up wanted posters of the Portsmouth City Council saying wanted for blocking for free market and all that kind of stuff. So you can absolutely do that.
What was the reason? Why would you ban Uber? Is it because it's bad for local-based taxi drivers?
In New York, I think in New York and maybe Philly, it costs like $1 million to get one of the taxi medallions, is what they call them. Yeah, basically a permit to drive a taxi. Yeah, so those guys are heavily invested. But one thing on the you can't just post them everywhere. I mean, you can, but we couldn't sponsor something like that because there is legal whatever. what am I trying to say? Legal repercussions.
Yes.
Yeah, repercussions. Yeah, I remember because Alex Jones did it on the Obama Joker poster, and there was some. Yeah, there is certain places where they allow that, but yeah, I don't think you're supposed to go up and post it on every telephone pole or whatever. Although people do with like garage sales and lost dogs and stuff, but there is some kind of probably commercial related regulations. But yeah, so you got to be careful. If we sponsored it, it could be an issue. I remember Jones.
So basically, folks, if you're watching, the takeaway points from this is don't vandalize other people's property. But if you see a TV reporter on the street, it's a free for all. Yes. Go for it. If you should just start carrying around like Dash banners in your backpack all the time, just in case. Be prepared.
Yeah, just be like, Dash is my mixtape. No, something like that.
Think about the advertising value, right? I mean, that Janet Yellen one, obviously, the whole world watches that, right? Because the Fed minutes affects every financial market. But like, we mentioned before when Dennis Rodman bought that Popcoin thing. Look at all the press that got, and Popcoin. I mean,
that was a little bit random.
Imagine, see, look, to get a commercial on a big American TV network, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably millions of dollars at prime time. Yet to get like a split second of someone holding that, and you just know it's going to go viral, the memes, the GIFs, it's just going to go crazy. I would probably give someone like 1-2 Dash out my own like earnings, because I know probably the return on investment would be so far superior. And I just think you've got to have balls to do it, right?
Yeah. Well, like I did cover one of my articles for Cointelegraph back in the day was about how Bill Clinton he's a Bitcoin owner now because someone set him up with a wallet at some conference and just gave him some Bitcoin. And so the viral marketing is definitely something that could really work. The problem is Bitcoin sort of took the standard for all that for a while, and then Bitcoin sort of lost the momentum, and that social energy hasn't transferred to something else, except that'll be there soon. All right, so just so I can close out this damn tab, right? The last thing I wanted to cover from what Cora's talking about is they're taking anti-patent troll measures, right? They're looking into patenting or securing the patents for Dash's technology so that they can make sure that they end up open source. And I think they mentioned the MIT license was not sufficient because some people would end up being able to then patent parts of Dash's technology and then use it to keep Dash legally from using the own technology it created. So I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but it'll have something to do with securing the patents to Dash's technology, but maintaining them as open source. So that's going to be that's a big minefield, but that's going to be a very important thing to conquer.
Yeah, there was new core additions as well. So there's a new director of HR. Apparently there's a new US project manager. There's 6 new developers. I don't know if they included that in from previous months or not. That wasn't clear. However, they're going to recruit a DevOps person to help with the Evolution devs. And they also mentioned about recruitment of a service desk support team as well. So that's to still come forward. And also they, I think it was in Ryan's summary, he said, he was talking about the legal changes, and he was saying that moving forward, Core are making some changes to make the core team more accountable to masternode owners, including the ability to remove individuals from the team if necessary. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, because it doesn't always get a lot of communication, is that Walshman PR is being renewed for Q3 for a 4-month contract, where previously it's been 3-month contracts. So Walshman PR will, I'm guessing they won't be working together with the marketing firm that's recruited as well. So it's interesting to see how that dynamic is meant to play out, because you're effectively paying like a PR company that I guess is trying to get leads for online publications and press releases. And then you've got the marketing, which is probably about branding and marketing campaigns. I don't know. I would like to see more detail and clarification on what the roles, responsibilities, and the duties of each one will be. But Walshman PR is getting a bit more. It's difficult to analyze because we don't always see you know, how it works, because I think they're paid within the core salary team now.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, I don't know how it works, folks. All I know is that if I want to speak to core, I normally have to go, well, we're advised to go through Walshman PR. So and press releases come directly from them. So yeah, so another 4-month contract. I guess it's just a continuation of what's come before. But the marketing situation, I'm very intrigued to hear about, because those two marketing firms are going to be proposing different things, right? And Ryan really emphasized that they're global multi-tier marketing, meaning they offer different solutions. They've got many different sectors within that they're going to be covering. So yeah, I'm with you guys. I mean, Brian, I know you was quite passionate about the CMO thing as well. We all liked things from it. Some things we didn't like. How do you feel about the marketing firm?
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad they're going to do something. I would like to see the core budget broken down a little bit into different sections. Maybe that's what I haven't had chance to listen to the call. Maybe that's what they were talking about, like the evolution team and then the other teams and the marketing, a separate proposal for them. Maybe. Yeah, it all seems to be one big thing. And I don't guess they do like I don't think they do like a budget allocation breakdown like I do in the thing where everything was spent. I would like to see that to where like everything was spent. Right now, it just seems to be one giant thing with no real accountability as far as where everything was spent. And I know they can't list every little thing that they do. We do, but they're a much bigger organization. But yeah, something a little bit more transparency. I would like to see that.
Yeah. Joel.
Yes.
Big news this week. I can't believe we haven't mentioned it yet. We've waited so long. The Apple iOS app. Take it away.
Yes. So a couple things happened. First off, Apple has officially approved Dash for the App Store. It doesn't mean a specific app. That means across the board. That means that no further apps will be banned from the App Store on the sole basis of having Dash. So that's good. That means that there's a lot of uncertainty. Anyone can submit an app to the App Store now that has Dash, and it will go through based on just that factor. So that's huge. The other thing is there's been an iOS Dash app that's been in production since 2015. It's been going for years and finally got updated and finally got released. And yeah, it's out there. And I am an Android user, right? But my buddy Ian, who develops for Dash Core, I met with him yesterday, and he was showing me the iPhone app. And it looks pretty nice and slick, and it's instant send enabled, and it's pretty nice. And it also has this interesting feature where you can scan a Bitcoin QR code and then send Dash to Shapeshift automatically to a Bitcoin address. And so I already tried that one out, and that worked seamlessly. It worked really well. So it's a very nice app. Almost makes me jealous of iPhone users, where I was laughing at them for so long for not having a Dash app. And now it's a pretty good thing. And yeah, in the other thing about that, and this is where we enter the realm of speculation, but the developer for the iPhone app said something about he might have figured out how to get private send on there without draining battery too much. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how that would work, because right now there is no private mobile cryptocurrency app, right? There's no mobile Monero app that really works. There's no mobile Zcash app that uses shielded transactions. And private send is mostly, you can sort of hack it by having mixed funds in your Dash Core wallet on your computer and then sending it to your mobile wallet. So that origin is obscured it. It's kind of like a halfway thing. But now, I mean, I don't know. This could be cool. This could be pretty big.
Yeah, I think one of the things with the Apple, the new app, is that before it was on Jax, and then we all know the story. They took it off, and then Jax got re-added back on. Dash was on there, and everybody still wasn't sure. Okay, is Apple officially, endorsing it or not endorsing it, but allowing it on there, or did it slip through? But now there's an app that is just Dash, and so there's no question that yes, they're allowing anything Dash, or they just got to go through their strict approval process. Where they got OneCoin on there and the Ethereum DAO, so it's pretty strict. It's very difficult to get listed on there. But yeah, I guess, I know that there was controversy on Reddit. Oh, they didn't officially endorse or da. But yeah, basically that's the deal. There's an app that it's Dash only, so they're not rejecting Dash anymore. And yeah, submit your apps.
Okay, we've got a comment in the live chat, and it's from Financial Turmoil Explained. And he says, my channel gets 50,000 views a month. I'll promote Dash for free just because I want Dash to move forward. And I hate the bankers, and Dash is a banker's worst nightmare. Well, look, I might throw this over to Brian, but what I would say is if you've got a popular YouTube channel, you don't have to change the content that you do. You probably have a few options. There is on the official Dash YouTube channel, there is a video called What is Dash? And it's a short kind of it's not infographic, but it's kind of like a storyboard video. And you could just play that at the end of your videos, and that'd be quite great. Also, as well, you could speak to the Dash Jet proposal guys, and they are creating a animated kind of 3D modeled animated video with so I believe it's about like a 15-second advert where the Dash plane comes down and swoops and kind of emphasizes why Bitcoin's so slow, a bit tongue-in-cheek, with the Dash branding. You can either play that at 15 seconds before your video starts or at the end. I mean, if you're that dedicated to Dash and you want to make a difference and not compromise the content that you make, that's a great option. What do you guys think? What else could we advise here?
Go for it. For one thing, go for it. I was going to start that as some kind of a YouTube contest. I believe I still am. I kind of got bogged down with the meetup merchant adoption thing, which is going great. It's keeping me very busy. At some point, I also want to do just a standard merchant adoption option. Once I get the time to do it, I will get that all written up. But yes, there will. I think this next month, I'm going to go ahead and give a prize to like the top 3 Dash type videos. So yeah, if he's got 50,000 views, he does a good thing. Then it's another new contest.
Yeah. So I got to jump in here because Bitcard CEO Graham Dabara just checked in. And he says, "Hey guys, I'm just back from a meeting with a bar in Cork, Ireland. We were closer to getting Festi the contract to be the payment solution for the bar during the Conor McGregor fight ahead of Visa." Ooh. And he says the fight everyone will see is McGregor versus Mayweather, but the fight people won't see is Festi versus Visa for the king of payments. Cool. With that left hand for the knockout. Wow.
Oh, don't. You sound Scottish. Don't do that accent again. I'm sorry, Graham. I apologize.
I am part Scottish.
It's more
actually, I'm part McGregor, so...
Yeah, okay. Yes. Well, yeah, that sounds fantastic, Graham. We could have had you on as a guest on the podcast today to make up for Charlie. And thank you for your support. I did see you liking my tweets as well. We know we've obviously, every podcast, we big up BitCart. That actually reminds me because, Joel,
yes.
Last week in the podcast, we had a question for Graham, and I forget the chap that asked, but he wanted to know, hey, Graham, when are you going to do Amazon.de? And probably probably over an hour ago now, Joel sent me something from Bitpanda, where basically you can sell your Dash for Amazon.de vouchers. Have I understood that correctly? Yeah, so it's Bitpanda. I've not used Bitpanda before, but I believe they're European based, I'm assuming.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's big in Germany from what I've heard. So, yeah.
Yeah, so sorry, I can't remember who asked that question last week, but now you do. I mean, you don't get the Graham 15% off, unfortunately, but that's just another way for you to get Amazon vouchers in Germany.
Roll out the red bit carpet to you, right?
Yeah. Maybe Graham works out something in the future, but he's kind of got his hands full with Festi right now. Oh, guys, one thing that was pretty major that I tweeted about, it was either yesterday or days go so fast, was the South Korean won. Because the Dash 24-hour currency volume was actually 40%. Sorry, a bit more. So 40%. It's so big. It's so instrumental because normally it's the BTC.
I believe the word you're searching for is huge.
Huge. Oh, that was a really good impression. Let me see if I can share this here, guys. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is live at the moment. So the South Koreans, I don't know what is going on Dash-wise over there, but they are buying and buying and buying. It's only it's just under 28% today. But as I said, like I believe it was yesterday, it was 40%, and it was actually the biggest. It was more than BTC. It was more than obviously USD. So there is a change. Interestingly, the renminbi, the Chinese yuan, is normally slightly bit bigger. It's a bit smaller today. So maybe the whole Bitcoin drama playing out again, it's always ongoing, is playing a factor in that role. But yeah, it just seems really interesting because I think South Korea's got like a population of like 50 million, but they are buying big time over there.
Yeah, I've noticed it for a little while, maybe not that as big as 40%, but they've been coming on strong for like about a month or so, maybe a little bit longer when I checked the coin market cap. I'm very surprised to see that, but yeah, we need to maybe, are they on our translation roadmap or?
Well, here's the thing. When you look in the Dash forums and stuff to find the kind of Korean languages, there's like nothing there. There doesn't seem to be anyone. I mean, you guys know I'm the international outreach guy, right? So I'm in Telegram. I'm members of all the international groups, and I don't see anything. It's very, very interesting. Sometimes we, get alerted by trackbacks and pingbacks with people like copy content and link our sources from our website. I get notified about that, but it's very bizarre. And I know from the core international outreach aspect, where I previously worked with the international translators before my time with Dashforce, I know there's no Korean like official translator on board there. So it's I'm bewildered by it, but I'm loving it at the same time. Was it 50 million in 24-hour volume today on CoinMarketCap, which is bigger than normal. So people were buying. It's really interesting.
Who is on our roadmap? Japan, Hindi, and
is this for Dashforce languages?
Yeah.
So I'm undecided at the moment. Basically, everyone can see our webmasters report that I release every month, and that shows statistics and breakdowns from country numbers, operating system, browsers, you name it, it's probably on there, even down to time stamps of the day when the site's most popular. And at the moment, it kind of goes US, UK, Germany, and India, of all places. But now that we've learned from the Q2 core summary, that they're going to be working more with actually Japan and India. So it was Daniel Diaz spoke in the summary, and he covers the business development. He is the business development lead. And he said they're in major conversations with exchanges in Japan and India, but also further progress in China has been made as well. So with you've guys seen the news. We spoke about last week in the podcast. Everyone's going Bitcoin crazy over there in terms of business adoption with Bitcoin at the moment. Seems every day a new business is adopting Bitcoin via CoinCheck. So yes, I think Japan, and you've got to give love to the Koreans. If you're Korean and you're watching this and you follow Dash, hit me up, mark@dashforcenews.com. I'd like to hear from you. When it comes to translators on the website for Dashforce, we have roles and responsibilities. It's not just translating. Vetting is the wrong word to say, but we have a clear conversation with them, because when we bring on translators, we want them to be ambassadors for Dashforce, because they're responsible for controlling social media as well, for sharing the links, communications. We want to build communities. So I don't just want to get any translator off the fly. I want someone that actually likes Dash, understands it. So when they get questions or messages via the various social media outlets that they'll be using, at the moment, each language has a Facebook, Twitter, Steemit, also some communities such as Russia, Portugal, Brazil have their own Telegram channels that have large memberships, so articles get shared there. Russia as well has things like a Russian version of Steemit as well. So all these things are getting syndicated out, but I just want to emphasize that, because I get messages from people all the time about wanting to translate, but they don't really know anything about crypto. And we want people to be representatives of Dashforce. So, but anyway, if you do know anyone that is, can translate in Korean, I'd be very happy to hear from them. And also Japanese as well. I'm very interested in that. So that's my message of outreach. You guys know my email, where to hit me up. Don't spam me, but only serious people. That reminds me, actually, today, which I need to give credit to Brian for, really. We had a message originally through the contact form on the Dashforce News website. So today, guys might have seen on the website, we had a technical analysis video by a nice gentleman called Daniel Green. And he did the video today for technical analysis. And he originally reached out to us. We've been looking for a technical analysis person for a little while now. And we've had people do it on the website before, but it was important for us that we wanted, for this specific thing, for ideally someone external, so they were more balanced, unbiased, and actually just gave a truthful analysis of the Dash charts. And Daniel was quite interesting because he has a history of doing articles for earnforex.com. So he's actually a chart analyst.
And I hate to interrupt you, but we got a special guest here.
He may be on
Chuck.
mute.
He's on mute right now. There we go. Chuck Williams. Hi, Chuck.
How you guys doing?
Yay.
Hey, pretty good. Oh, you shaved your beard thing off.
I did. I totally shaved that off.
Oh, well, it looks nice.
I'm going to have to open another beer just for Chuck.
Exactly.
It's good to finally get together with you guys. I think we've kind of crossed paths a couple times.
Yeah. I mean, I bumped into you at the open house, and you look mostly the same, but you had facial hair back then. Those are the times.
Wow.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us for the last little bit of the segment.
Yeah, glad to be here. So what do you guys have for me? What's going on?
Well, we just discussed the quarter 2 summary. Did you watch it?
I am 53 minutes into it. I haven't quite finished it.
Yeah, wow. So in case you get too busy with real life and you don't want to finish, go to dashforcenews.com. And I brought up a nice little summary of the interesting bits that I had no idea about before. Especially the legal restructure thing is the big thing, because
there was some need for that.
There's a lot of crazy stuff.
So guys, you're gonna have to be quick in the live chat. But if you don't know who Chuck is, you should do, because he's had a spotlight interview with Amanda. But he is, you might have to correct me here, Chuck, but he is the lead in evolution in terms of user experience. So user experience, and it's something else as well, isn't it? It's user.
Yeah, UI, UX tech lead.
Yeah. So
it's good.
So if you guys have got any evolution questions, get them in quick. But Chuck, have you got anything that you could tell us? Because obviously you do the design of evolution, right?
Yeah,
so
you
must
I'm working through it. Yeah,
the human beings are going to end up touching.
You must have so many mock-ups of the Photoshop files and stuff. So
so the way that I work a little bit more conceptually at first. I'm trying to understand the psychology of what people are going to need to go through, and I'm actually building what are called user flows. And with those user flows, I think if we establish those, then it's easier to kind of build out the actual mock-ups from those. We don't waste a whole lot of time figuring out the right paths to things. So the idea is we kind of get the logic down, and then we start iterating on the views, and then we harden the views with the logic and try to marry up the psychology so that it's easy to go through. Got to think about grandma all the way through.
So the
question from the live chat I have to get out of the way is evolution going to be as pretty as you?
I hope it's a lot prettier, to be honest.
Yeah, so am I understanding this correctly? So you have kind of like trials with people that use the app, and you base conclusions on their results, how they react. I've seen apps before where they do heat maps. So you can see where people are clicking, what works, what doesn't. So how do you do that?
We don't have that level of user analysis going on yet, but we're going to be ramping up to that. The team is still fairly small, and some of the team is still contracted, outside of the Dash core team. So we're working out a lot of the logistics in terms of who gets assigned to what and how much user research we actually conduct versus how much we actually build. What we know we're going to build is pretty much kind of already laid out based on what the back-end team has been building out on the platform. So we kind of have some catching up to do with the UI to implement the features and functionality that have already been laid out on the platform itself. So really, the first release of Evolution is going to be mostly about account management and just the basics of account management, managing your Evolution account. We may be able to squeeze in some additional features for merchants or end users or whatever, but once we publish it, it'll be open source. So
yeah, so I have a couple quick questions on that. First off, this is going to be a web wallet, correct? How will that work as far as like getting an app in, say, the Play Store or the App Store? Is there going to be an Evolution app?
Yes. So the goal is right now that I wouldn't say that we're committing to a web wallet specifically. I think we're trying to build a platform that's going to be able to be spread into multiple different kinds of platforms simultaneously. Ideally, we'll be working from one code base and building to the various platforms.
Whoa, hang on a second. So there's not going to be a web. I thought it was meant to be like multi-device. I know we always talk about evolution compared to PayPal. So there will be like a web-based browser option, right? Or is it just going to be all app-based? Oh, okay.
The expectation is yes, but not only that. I just didn't want to constrain into that.
So the second thing is how many banking / PayPal such other things like that, how many of those other apps have you gotten intimate with in order? No, nothing creepy there. But have you gotten familiar with in order to make sure the Evolution is competitive?
Well, competitive analysis is definitely part of it. We're definitely looking at PayPal. I have built a number of banking applications. I don't know, in my history, I don't know if you guys looked at my LinkedIn profile or whatever, but I worked at Oppenheimer Funds for quite a while, and I built a lot of the UI for the investor side of the funds site, the funds management site there. So banking and money and UI is something that has been peppered throughout my history. So I've got that I'm bringing to the table, but also we are looking at the what's the latest and greatest in terms of the frameworks that are being used for these applications. What's the fastest, easiest to build, easiest to distribute? What has the most ubiquity in terms of developer use? Because we don't want to do everything ourselves. We want to make sure that what we deliver is something that the open source community can kind of take on and build on top of. So we're taking all that kind of into account, but we still want to bring some very innovative features to the Evolution platform. And in my mind, it seems to be circling around how do we make the security that Dash provides as easy to consume by grandma. Like that's kind of what I'm boiling it down to right now.
It's based on the copay wallet. Is that correct?
So we're evaluating whether or not we want to continue to build the future of evolution on the copay wallet itself. There may be some libraries that we pull in, and we're kind of evaluating those as we're building the Dash version of the copay wallet. But there may be some competing libraries and/or frameworks that would work better for what we're building.
I wonder when we would get us like a sneak peek or something. Is that?
Not at this second. Not at this second. No, not right now.
Are you involved in the integration side of it? Obviously, when we think of PayPal, obviously the way they grew so much is because so many businesses adopted PayPal as the payment option, right? To integrate on their website. So whether it's Shopify, WordPress websites, all that sort of stuff. Have you been designing any of that stuff yet, or is that later?
So I've been reviewing what a lot of our integration partners have been developing. So some of the people that Daniel has brought up in the Q2 summary calls, I've looked at what they're doing that implements Dash, right, and kind of giving them pointers or suggestions as to how we think it might work better for our implementation. But coming back to the copay build side of things, the back end is structured in a way that's kind of fundamentally different in that it's a classic kind of API web server thing that you got to spin up in order for all the wallets to kind of talk to it, which creates a single point of failure. And the Dash core team is building a back end that's very much more distributed, more decentralized. So these things called masternode quorums that you can read about are going to be what we use to talk to rather than an individual point of failure for the evolution project. But for the Dash copay system, we still kind of have to use that Bitcore wallet service.
Yeah, very interesting. So here's something I had an idea of, right? How evolution, of course, has a lot of front end and a lot of back end associated. Now, say you are a user of a third-party multi-coin wallet such as Coinomi or Jax.
Mm-hmm.
How will your Dash experience change on those apps? Will it even change at all?
Well, so you're still talking to the blockchain, and everything that you do with those wallets will still talk to the same blockchain. What evolution is going to provide is some enhanced capabilities that will create special kinds of transactions on the blockchain that will enable more detailed data.
That means that your boilerplate Dash experience that we have right now is pretty much going to be unchanged if you're using a third-party service. And in order to get the full evolution experience, you actually have to get a specific evolution wallet. Is that correct?
It'll be like an evolution-enabled wallet. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the only other question, right, and then I'll shut up and let Mark talk because he's looking antsy, is what do you think the chance, and this is obviously an open-ended kind of thing, like, what do you think the chances are of other services and wallet providers of integrating an evolution-specific sort of interface for Dash?
That's my hope. What I imagine a world, maybe a year or two from now, my gut says, where we have a hub that provides individual components for the development community to kind of take on and integrate into their apps. I don't expect the Dash team to be building everything that's specific for Dash. I see that a lot of constituencies out there that may be better served by individual developers who are servicing that community specifically. We're looking at major constituencies right now, and our first release is all about all users, something that all users can use. But the major constituencies that we've identified are the merchants and the miners and the masternode owners. And there's some debate about how we approach those with additional releases after the initial release of Evolution. What special features and functions can we build? There's so many like point of sale projects out there that we have opportunities to integrate with. There's so many like savings and investment opportunities out there that we may have opportunities to integrate with. There's a lot of things going on that we, I think we should be discussing on our end, and there, nothing's written in stone except the roadmap itself. So the roadmap is going to be the main guide in this case.
how much input do you actually have in terms of evolution? I mean, obviously you're in direct conversations with the evolution developers, but when it comes to ideas and stuff, obviously we've seen the roadmap and what comes with that. But do the evolution developers say to you, here's how it's going to work, here's the tabs, menus, things, here's all the things we need to do, and then you just make it look pretty? Do you actually have like input in what's going to happen with evolution, or do they just throw all this stuff at you and say you've got to organize it and paint a pretty picture?
So yeah, that's the I'm kind of scared by how much responsibility I have in this case. I am trying to be extremely careful with the steps that I take, but each step that I take basically means this is what's landing in evolution. And I'm coordinating a number of people, and I'm just trying to make sure that that Evan's vision is fulfilled at this point. And so my interpretation of Evan's vision is basically what's going to land in evolution. And the team that I build will be that's what we're going to deliver.
All right, very interesting. So I'm gonna have to take off in a second, and if you guys want to keep going without me, I mean, now there's still gonna be 3 amigos. Just swap out one for another. I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor. We don't have sponsors, but I've been drinking this stuff. Right, this is Boyle's Beer Company. They're a local brewery in New Hampshire that accepts Dash for beer. So I bought this with Dash, and they used to be kind of crypto wide, but they stopped taking Bitcoin because of high transaction fees, right? If you have like a several dollar beer and like half of that is a transaction fee, it's not going to work. So anyway, yeah, that's just so you know, that like the local Dash economy is strong. So yeah, thanks everyone for being on. Are you guys going to keep? Yeah, come up and visit anytime. I'll show you around. Yeah, so are you guys going to continue, or are you going to just end it here?
I had a couple of questions. Maybe Chuck can answer.
Yeah,
all right. Well, thanks everyone for having me on, and I'm going to go my own way and enjoy having Chuck on. Thanks again, Chuck, for subbing for my Slack.
Right on. We'll see you, Joel.
See ya.
Peace.
The question I had, I don't know if you have the answers for this, but do we know how many people are on the core team right now? It's got to be 66 was the last I saw.
It depends on how you define core team. Yeah. You know, my current understanding is there's 20 to 30 full-time and 20 to 30 part-time, depending on like at what time you look at who's contributing which month, I think. That's my gut.
I think I saw 66, but they're probably including like translators and all kinds of little.
Yeah. So yeah, it depends on where you draw the line of core team or just like Dash contributors. Dash contributors, I would say, 60 to 80 range seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Huge team. Yeah.
Yeah. In the quarterly report today, they said that there's a new director of HR, new US project manager. Sounds quite interesting. 6 new developers. But I mean, as it's the Q2 report, that could be at any time, right?
Right.
But still to recruit, they're going to be recruiting a DevOps to help with the evolution devs. Perhaps you can expand on that. But finally, apparently they're going to recruit a service desk support team to help with evolution, I presume. Do you know, have you got any juicy details on that?
Well, so I do have to kind of constrain myself to what's been published. But I probably could expound a little bit on the Dash Evo side of things. I think so. We have been talking about the need for kind of infrastructure management. We're looking a bit ahead, and I got to tell you, looking at my career historically, it's really nice to be with a team that's able to kind of look ahead and plan ahead. And so we're looking probably a couple, 3-4 months out in terms of what we need. And this Dash DevOps person is intended to assist evolution infrastructure development. So I talked about having a framework where we can build out to multiple platforms from a single code base, right? Well, in order to maintain those builds and make sure that each one of those builds is secure and being structured appropriately, we need an evolution dedicated kind of build manager kind of person. Some of that would fall onto this DevOps person, as I understand it. So that's a big piece of it. Basically, not just, not writing code necessarily, just making sure that the builds are secure, that everything's solid. No hackery gets up in there while between the time that we actually, write the final code and publish it in the Google Play and Apple stores.
What do your friends and family think of what you do? I mean, I go to the pub with my mates on the weekend or whenever, and I tell them about Dash, and some of them aren't in cryptocurrency at all. I'm just wondering, like, the conversations around your dinner table or with your friends and family, how do you explain Dash evolution to them?
So most of the people that are in my life are not engaged to the degree where they care about what evolution is. They're still like, what the heck is Bitcoin? Most people. And so, and I live kind of in a small town in the southern suburbs of Denver, and it's kind of a conservative community. There's a coffee shop nearby where I talk with some of the elderly, and they, trying to get a perspective from them on what they think about cryptocurrency. I've been talking to these people for months. So I see this as part of my job to kind of understand like how people are viewing what we're looking at, what we're doing. And, from the outside looking in, it's a hard perspective to maintain when you're kind of inside this bubble of Dash development. But so yeah, most people are still, at that very newbie stage. So I haven't gotten to the place where I'm talking regularly about evolution really to anybody, because nobody's to the place where they even understand the needs that evolution is trying to fulfill.
I miss to me.
Yeah,
yeah, I know, I know. But I'm my wife and I were kind of introverts. We don't get out a whole lot. I write a lot of code. I sit on my computer, but most of my friends are online, and those people, they don't ask me a whole lot about evolution. They know that I'm going to be kind of tight-lipped about it. So most people give up, but I share what I can when I can, especially when there's news coming out. Like when Dash became an official currency, I was like, hey, Apple accepted us. That means big things, right? Maybe Coinbase is next. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I certainly don't know anything about that. So I'm just, again, speculating. But that would be an amazing thing. It seems like they have less reasons to ignore us now. That's just me babbling.
Yeah, I miss Denver. I loved it down there. I moved back to Texas about 2 years ago to help take care of my dad, but I definitely plan on going back. And on that same line of thought, I know that y'all had a little soiree the other day with Danny from the Crypto Show.
That's right. Yeah.
How did that go?
Danny flew into town, and we kind of showed up at a meetup, a local business meetup that was cannabis oriented. So it was cannabis owners meetup, and we just wanted to share some of the virtues of Dash. There was another group presenting there. They're involved with securing cannabis locations and transporting funds and managing vaults and that sort of thing. So they had a big presentation. And we had an opportunity to talk to several owners about how Dash could help them with the cash problem. We could, I was trying to get some input about what kinds of needs they would have in terms of offloading their cash. They seem to really like the idea of being able to get rid of their cash and charge a fee for it if people were coming to exchange Dash. But as I understand it, I think there might be money transmitter licensing involved with that. So that would add an additional hurdle. But, if somebody wanted to put up for that, then they might be able to arrange that sort of thing. Then there's also, the placement of Dash-enabled ATMs on location so that they can get out their cash with the Dash and then pay cash to the merchant location. And then, there's all kinds of opportunities for that ecosystem there. And then we did talk a little bit about the Alt-36 to some people. Danny and I don't know all the details other than what's been discussed on a couple of podcasts. So we couldn't go into a whole lot of detail other than we know that there's something coming, there's some development happening. So, that's the nature of this decentralized beast. Everybody's kind of moving, but not necessarily everybody knows what's happening.
Was there a chance to set anybody up with some Dash wallets, or was that kind of not?
When we brought it up, I think these people may have been burned by people trying to sell them stuff in the past, and it may have seemed that way to them, that they were being sold something. So we kind of got shut down on the idea of setting people up with wallets. Yeah.
I kind of want to grill you a bit, because So you've got a history working with user experience applications with banking, right? So
yeah.
has there ever been a situation where you put your foot down and you said, guys, we need to have this in the design? It's no go. From my experience, I know that we need this. Has there been any cases like that? Can you elaborate?
Yeah. So one role that I had in particular at Effective UI, I commonly acted as a lead developer for multiple teams simultaneously and a liaison to executive level clients. Right. So I would travel to various locations and communicate to them. Here's what's going on with the project. Here's where we're at. Here's what we need to do. And it very often became a discussion of, well, here's what marketing wants versus here's what we need to do. And that's actually where I started to develop my mindset of I am Tron. Like, I play the role of Tron. I fight for the users. Like, that's the role that I play. So I basically found that was the right place for me. That's my forte. So when I come to those executive tables and executive meetings, I've got the developers on my back saying one thing, hey, this is going to be hard. I've got the executives on the other side saying, hey, this is going to cost too much. And I'm up there saying, hey, if you want users, this is what you need. And so I've refined my skill of presentation so that it brings ROI to the table for the executives. And also I try to talk to developers in a way where they can work from a place of empathy. So I try to build empathy inside of my development teams so that they're always thinking about, in this case, grandma. Like, right now, I want everybody on my development team to just assume that they're talking to grandma. And as I was, it was a couple of weeks ago, I showed my in-laws, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, all about Dash, got them set up. Got them set up on an exchange account. They're still waiting for approval, and they have to go through multiple tiers and such to actually make the transactions. But they've been watching it go up and down. They're learning about volatility. Anyway, my point is now as I'm writing code, I'm reflecting on that conversation that I was having with my mother-in-law and all the questions that she was having and all the concerns that she was having as I'm coding. I think that really helps with the development process if you have empathy, so you can solve the problems right in code before the end user gets in front of it and has these crazy questions. Some of that, a little bit of that, is landing in Copay. You know, we're changing the language just a little bit, and we're changing some of the interfaces so that it's a little bit more hand-holding and less jargon and buzzwords. So that's kind of a big part. That's my touch.
Wow. So was that
you ask about? I want to answer your question about putting my foot down.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The answer is yeah. I have to. That's kind of the role that I play on a pretty regular basis. If everything's going fine and we're on target, I don't have to do anything. But sometimes it comes down to, hey, we got to cut out this piece of scope, or we got to cut out this piece of tracking that you guys want, because the only reason you want that is to get data for your marketing team, and that's not worth it. Let's focus that energy over here on the user so that you can build a user base worth tracking. You know, so that's kind of
that's your speciality. That's what you bring to the table, because you've got experience with that, the banking and finance user experience. So with Evolution, we always hear all the time that you can have a current account, a savings account, you can separate things. So when it comes to, you know, when we check our online banking and we see our current statement, I'm guessing the main input on that design and features and functionality comes from you directly, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So was there anything in particular that you've brought from that world into it that you think is really cool and perhaps unique? Or can you not share that information yet?
Well, I think maybe one of the things that that I'm advocating for in our interfaces is, as I mentioned, that empathy, and that's going to manifest as trying to be an interface that is a little bit customizable for the end user, so that, you know, one thing that's kind of frustrating with some interfaces is that they don't always show the, you know, dash to dollar or dash to ruble or dash to whatever your currency is. We want to be able to provide something like that, and that means additional back-end development and services and connections and capabilities and failovers and all that kind of stuff. There's a whole back-end sequence of infrastructure that has to happen in order for just these little incremental pieces of functionality to come through. So those are the kinds of things that I am advocating for, and it means like planning for multiple languages, multiple currencies, but also kind of looking ahead to what our constituencies need for their environments. What are the merchants going to need at the point of sale system? What are the users going to want to do when they're buying things? It seems like of the three properties of money, medium of exchange, store of value, and unit of account, medium of exchange seems to be the one that most people are asking about. So I think that's where we're kind of focusing 80% of our energies right now, is making that as liquid and seamless and frictionless as possible.
How would you? Sorry, Brian, do you want to go? So I'm excited.
Well, I just had a request. One thing that on my main computer, it's on my 4K display, my television, and the wallet, it is just so small. Is there any way to add like some kind of feature to where it could enlarge the text and all that stuff? Because I've got everything else on the computer enlarged to read, but it doesn't seem to affect the wallet, and it's just so tiny.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Which wallet was that?
It's the core wallet.
Okay.
12.1.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff can be built in. That's one of the reasons that we want to go with a kind of a single framework for the UI part of it, so that we can build out and like have those kind of font scaling capabilities, or at least that it would respect your system font settings. If we can access those, I think that would be ideal. They're not always accessible depending on the different devices and environments that you're on. I think that would probably be a later refinement that would come after V1. But at a minimum, we would probably make it responsive so that you can scale the app itself, and it may kind of lay itself out differently depending on which layout you have, which size, whether it's a landscape or portrait kind of presentation, that sort of thing.
How would you answer one of the biggest criticisms about evolution? All right, so hold on to your desk for this, but I have to ask. One of the biggest criticisms about evolution from our competitors is that evolution is often dubbed as the PayPal Venmo for cryptocurrency, right? In terms of experience, it's for everyone. So if your grandma can use online banking or PayPal, should be able to use evolution. But one of the criticisms that people say with that is trying to build something like PayPal is such a gargantuan task, because if you're watching this and you've used PayPal, if you've seen their frequently asked questions and their support and everything else, it's just crazy, because when you have a global solution, it has to cover so many things. It's such a huge undertaking.
Yes.
How would you respond to people that have those criticisms?
So the first piece of it is the software doesn't exist yet. So I have to start from a place of reality and say, look, whatever perceptions you have about it's all abstract. It's all in our minds right now. It's all what we believe is going to happen until you get something in your face, and that's coming. Like, we're working on that. I would kind of sidestep the specific issue of hey, it's going to be all this. And, just say, look, no, this is what we're going to. And what we're going to do is we're going to deliver specific experiences. And those specific experiences are going to be the best that we can possibly do with the technology, the platform that we have, and the vision that we've been provided. And, I bought into the vision long before I started working for Dash. And that's why I'm here now, so that I can help to bring that vision to fruition. But it's about basically understanding what those users are, and that's why I keep advocating for that empathy, to make sure that we understand it at an emotional level, so that those interfaces make you feel safe, make you feel secure, make you enable you to go through these processes, these very complex processes of writing to the Dash blockchain and saving to the Dash blockchain your information in a secure manner, in a way that makes you feel okay with what's going on. Constant feedback, easy to read instructions, more information when you want it, where you want it, right in context, those kinds of things. So there's a number of principles that we're going to bring to the table that I think have been kind of lacking generally in the cryptocurrency community. You know, I mean, to be honest, I think Exodus does a really good job of this. I know that the guys at Exodus, they have a lot of UX in the heart and soul of their product. Like, it's all around UX, and the best products that I've ever worked on start with the users. They start with that experience, and everything is built around the experience. And I will say, we've had significant changes to the design of the back end based on what we need for the front end. You know, we made some modifications to Dash Auth. We made some modifications to how the sequencing of sponsoring the transactions would go for setting up new Evolution accounts. So there's some very specific data pieces and services and sequencing pieces that are happening that have really kind of synergistically come together around what I have proposed to the back-end team as the ideal end user experience. So we're doing this kind of back and forth, and I'm kind of on my third iteration of the next major flow for onboarding users for the Evolution cycle. And I think this next one will probably be pretty solid, and we'll be going forward with it from the front end perspective. And the back end will be ready for us as we build it, because they're working in these pieces as we go.
Yeah, I think you both raise really good points. I think Brian's one about changing the display resolutions is fantastic. And I think I agree with you with Exodus as well. I love the way you can change the themes in that. And I think customization is such a key point that often gets overlooked. You know, if we look at the millennial generations now, like, everything's customized, whether it's phone cases, everything in general. And yeah, user experience is a lot more important than what people actually actually think about, right? So yeah, I think those are really, really interesting key points to think about, which often do get overlooked. Yeah, changing things. Like Brian, for example, talking of things, whenever Brian shares his screen with me, it doesn't frustrate me, but I always have to like double check, because he has so many extensions in his browsers that, you know, he has the kind of like nighttime plugin where everything's dark and flips it. So, you know, like some people like with the Amazon Kindles, they like that kind of thing. So like, I bet if you had an option for the kind of like nighttime thing, Brian would be on that 24/7, right?
Yeah, totally. No, that makes sense. Like, I think nighttime options are great, especially if you're doing that kind of device stuff. It makes things easy on the eyes. I like that sort of thing. And those are the so those are the kinds of things that I collect. So that's a big part of my job. I want to collect all these things and then prioritize, like, what can we possibly do? What can we possibly deliver? What's the highest value? That sort of thing. And right now, the highest value is all users, high security, because we can't mess this up. We have to make sure that everything is secure. No user funds are lost. And that's the number one priority. Beyond that, any level of functionality that we can provide is going to be gravy. But the back end is going to guide us in terms of what we can deliver. But there's going to be some feedback. We'll probably, with this with the Evolution V1 release and the back end piece that comes along with that, there's going to be so many opportunities enabled that, you know, at that point it will be like, how do we figure out how to prioritize what we're going to deliver to whom. That's where I see additional teams spinning up, or additional business opportunities spinning up for developers who want to build on top of the Dash platform, because what we have is going to be open source, and you'll be able to enhance it for merchants or, you know, specific communities, you know, or whatever.
I'm glad you mentioned merchants, because I think the community would probably DDoS me and spam me if I didn't ask you this. Now, I'm going from memory here, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but the Evolution roadmap kicks off in September. And from memory, I think I recall that it mentions that there's a group of merchants involved that will be involved in Evolution, whether they're being integrated or not. And it's kind of like what's the process there? Is it just a feel out and to see what they think? What's the reason for this?
Oh, yeah. So we want to invite merchants to have a safe space to share their ideas with us, where it's not necessarily going to be publicly criticized what they want. I think we want to provide a period of time where we can say, hey, here's what we've got, here's what we're thinking about doing. What do you guys think? You know, to a merchant community, and we want to kind of handpick some of those based on people who are already using Dash, people who are interested in using Dash, you know, so that they have some experience and can bring some value to the table in terms of what they really want. That's going to help them do their business.
How big are these merchants? Are we talking NASDAQ? Are we talking like New York Stock Exchange? Or are we talking like, are they like big players? Or
yeah, I mean,
I
like Daniel, I can't say names, but
are they major players?
Some, yeah.
Yeah, because this is where the community, I think, often sometimes gets carried away, but you can't help the speculation because a lot of people always backtrack to Ryan Taylor's speech in Miami. And it was a fantastic presentation. And he breaks down how PayPal first took on board certain companies, whether it was, I think it was Nike, Adidas. I feel weird saying that from the UK because it's Nike and Adidas here. But,
sure.
But you know, they were instrumental, right? Because they took on, and basically they were the first adopters, and I think they offered a discount if people used them as well. So I know the merchant avenue with Evolution is going to be huge. But I was just kind of, I know you can't say who the merchants are, but obviously if they're major sort of players, then you know it's going to be great. If they're kind of like small scale, small to medium, then obviously they're going to have different needs, right? Because scale-wise, multinational company is very different from a small to medium-sized business. Right.
And you know, I can't speculate too much on this, but what I'd like to see personally is a way that people who are in the development community for these organizations can have more direct communications with the Dash team, you know, in a way where we can kind of collect these and coalesce these desires into manageable pieces of component functionality. And, you know, I'd like to see a hub of that kind of conversation happening. I mean, Slack can get us so far with some of those communications, but things get lost if they're not appropriately, you know, organized, you know, in a way that's like accessible to newcomers and such. Those are some of the things that I'm thinking about, but the real deal right now is that's not something that I'm going to spend a whole lot of time on, you know, when it comes time and we've got a product to put in front of the merchants, we'll put it in front of them and we'll say, please tell us what you want, because that's what we want. We want what you want. You know, that's a big deal.
I don't think this is a big deal, but it's been asked in the live chat by Foxtrot. I wonder how much Evan is involved with the core team as an advisor. So how in your day-to-day life, how much of a role does Evan play with you? Because up until recently, the roadmap, he's kind of been taking like a back seat, right? He was actually kind of technically outside core. So how much communication have you actually had with Evan?
Well, you know, direct communication, it's mostly one way coming from him. Like I met Evan in Phoenix when I was at the open house, and you know, I had a meeting with him and we talked for a little while about a lot of things, mostly UX oriented, some longer term goal stuff. But other than that, you know, I think his vision just kind of plays out in our various pieces. For instance, with the roadmap itself, I think he and Andy Freer were the main authors on it, but I added some bits, you know, some pieces where I knew, like, this isn't going to happen till here, this is going to happen till here, let's switch this up. Like, we went through a few iterations with my input. And so I guess in that way, we were communicating through the living document itself, you know? So we've worked together in a couple things, and some of the upcoming works of authorship that he's probably going to be producing have bits and pieces that I've contributed to in some discussions. So, you know, day to day, I don't work with Evan directly, but he definitely has an understanding of what's going on and is trying to look at what's happening, and it seems to me coalescing that into a vision for the future. It's like he is kind of guiding the energies around here.
Okay. Yeah. 2 questions.
Okay.
Are you moving to Hong Kong or are you moving to Europe? Because everyone's asking us. Because obviously we know Dash Labs, Evan's going to Hong Kong, right? Because that was announced. But also in the roadmap, it says Core is going to be relocating to Europe, or a number of them, the Core team will be. So are you one of those people? And if not, do you know who's moving out of the Core team?
Nobody's asked me to leave Denver, and we do have a bit of a presence here. You know, we've got an established business relationship with our contracted team, and we've got you know, I've sat down with Eric Voorhees at Shapeshift at least once talking about some Dash information. He has an office in downtown Denver, and John Kindle is he's one of our developers that has contributed to Dash, and he's here in Denver. You know, so I think that we have a presence here and a reason to stay or maintain some kind of presence here. Nobody's asked me to leave or move anywhere, but I've definitely been invited to both Hong Kong and London by members of the team.
September, you coming to the London conference, September 24th.
Is that what it is? I didn't know the date. This is the Dash conference? Yes,
I got it tattooed.
Okay. Yeah, so I know that was announced. I learned of that last week. Yeah, no, I think it'd be great if I could get out there. I think that would be great.
Yeah, they didn't really elaborate, like, because they said it's the first Dash. I mean, they had the open house event this year, right? But they said it's the first Dash conference. And I just thought I mean, okay, that sounds interesting. So there's going to be no one else there. So are the guys going to be presenting? Because there's going to be no other exhibits, right? So well, unless Block Cipher comes along. Right. So like for me, it's kind of, I'm excited. I'm going to be there. I'll be repping Dash Force. Maybe I can give a presentation there. I don't know, but I'll be networking and trying to build partnerships and business adoption left, right, and center. But do you know any more about this, or?
No, like I said, I got to dig in what I can. I just learned about it recently.
I had one more question, and then I think we should take a couple of other questions from the chat if there is any, and then wrap it up. Mine is a kind of a request, and I've raised it in the dev Slack before. Whenever I'm mixing, like I use my main television, I do everything on the TV. I get all my videos, information, movies, and everything. But when I try to mix, it always pops up. It keeps popping up saying that it's mixing. And so I can't really watch a video or do anything when it's mixing. And I don't know if that's your area. I know it kind of is. But...
No, I remember. Yeah, no, I remember there was a conversation about this.
Yeah.
I thought there was a resolution to it, but I'll tell you what, let me, if you want, I'll make a note of it and see if I can find that conversation, because I feel like that was resolved, or at least there was a workaround that was given to somebody.
I raised the issue, and there was two issues, and one of them there was a workaround, which I believe I'd already done, but it was to turn off one of the notifications. Yeah, but it still pops up whenever it's doing the private send thing, and
are you on a Linux machine?
No, just Windows 10. Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, they said they were looking into it. They said it was a known issue and they would address it. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it up.
Sure. Yeah, I don't have an answer for you there. I do remember that conversation, and I thought it was resolved, but maybe it was just the workaround that didn't work for you.
Yeah. Part of it was a two-parter. Yeah, part of it was resolved. The other is they know about it and they're working to try to do something about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't help you there directly.
It's not an evolution-related question, but in the live chat, we've just been asked, are there any guys working in the Dash office space? Obviously, Arizona.
Yeah.
Can you comment?
Oh, yeah. So I believe, so when I went out and visited, I know that Ryan and Evan were kind of working out of there. They had 3 or 4 offices dedicated to them, and I think that they were expanding into a larger space. But I think, I don't know who's occupying those spaces right now. It's possible that the partnership that we're trying to work out with the university there, that we may be bringing on interns and assigning some interns to those desks for some of the Dash research specific stuff that may be going on. But I'm only speculating there. Like that's all I can think right now.
Yeah, it was a strategic location, wasn't it? Because that location itself has lots of presentation rooms to entertain guests, and it's also like a hotspot, or like a hub of technology, right? So, yeah, it's interesting. Oh my God, Foxtrot. Unbelievable. No. How much influence does Evan have on Dashcore's direction these days? I guess it is a very reasonable question, because at the open event, obviously, Evan came out and said that he's now running no more masternodes because it's a conflict of interest. So, and I guess a lot of people from January onwards thought everyone was taking a backseat approach. I think Chuck's already kind of answered this, saying like, he's had direct contact with him, but in terms of core in general, like, is he sort of the puppet master or? No,
I mean, so let me put it this way. Like, I used to work at McDonald's, right? And when I was a McDonald's manager, one of the big, like, all the managers talked about Ray Kroc and the way that he would do stuff and what he did, right? I never met Ray Kroc, but he sure had a lot of influence over the managers at McDonald's, right? And I kind of think in some ways it's that way here, where the developers who are on the team, they already bought into Evan's vision. So, I mean, how much more influence do you need than somebody to buy into your vision? You know, like, I guess that's kind of where I'm at with it. So how do you measure influence in that way? I don't know. So it's just hard to say how much. I can say that we're not getting day-to-day directions from him. We're not getting edicts of any kind. Everybody who does their work basically has kind of communicated, okay, this is my area of ownership. Does anybody agree or disagree? Yes, no, please do this, don't do this, that kind of thing. We work that stuff out, and then we put our heads down and we work on our stuff. Like, that's kind of how it goes.
It's a pretty long roadmap to work from, right? So there's not much room for pondering about what to do.
Right, exactly. We have these long targets, and everybody's got to kind of figure out how to pull the thread toward their own target on that map, and that's where he is most influential in placing those long-term targets, where we can all kind of figure out, okay, yeah, agree, yes, that's the right way. If we don't agree, we'll say, hey, what about this? This doesn't seem right. And he'll tweak it, or he'll say, or he'll justify it. Like, that has happened. I've seen some of those conversations go, like, between core team and Evan. Like, have you thought about this, Evan? And Evan will modify it, and then we'll have a new target, and we'll be like, okay, yeah, that works now.
So you're a developer by trade, but do you ever worry about longevity? Because as you're working on the user experience of evolution, there will come a day where you might have to shift into a different team or whatever, because fingers crossed, everything works smoothly and flawless, and we're going to get mass adoption. But I mean, have you had any conversations about further down, or is it just the case that the roadmap is, a few years out, and it's just not even worth having that conversation right now?
Well, I mean, for me personally, like, I've tried to manage my career in such a way that I'm versatile enough to fit into different roles. Like, I can do managerial stuff, I can do project management stuff, I can do design stuff, I can do code stuff, like. So whatever is needed at the time, I will fall into those roles, me personally. So, I've been telling my wife, this could be the last job I ever have working for Dash, because, with the growth and the opportunities and the directions that I see it going, like, it's only going to fractally grow into various pieces and niche markets and all this kind of stuff. And I'll just find my way as we go. I think that's how it's going to work for me. Other people, maybe they just, I don't know. I can't speak for other people, but that's how I manage my career.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of app development shelf life. Well, there's not even like a timeline, because things are constantly refreshed, right? Technical refresh programs, right? So basically you have to analyze, as time goes on, new solutions come about, new security threats as well. So basically it's a constant cat and mouse game of refresh, updating, and staying ahead of the competition.
Yeah,
so
the backlog grows consistently, and you just work the backlog as much as you can with the most valuable stuff.
Yeah, so I have a question. So obviously you're in a certain team. So within Dashforce, once a week, we have a partners meetup, and we have a chat. It's not meant to be for 1 hour, but typically it lasts about 3 hours, and we just talk about everything, what happened in the past week, and then we talk about plans for the future week, whether it's scheduled for the news website or our own individual lanes on projects that we manage individually. How do you have anything like that in core? I know I speak to Tungfa, but I mean, like, I don't know if that's it.
We do an asynchronous daily stand-up, and all of our work is tracked in the Jira system. So in an ideal world, and recently we integrated Geekbot. So Geekbot says, hey, have you done your stand-up report for the day? And basically, and we say, okay, this is what I did yesterday. Here's my list of things. And then we type in or link to the Jira tickets that we worked on yesterday, that we completed yesterday, what progress we made. We'll put some notes in there. And then what are you working on today? You know, standard like Scrum style stand-up stuff.
Yep.
So we'll write in what we're doing today. And if we have any impediments, we put those as impediments. And if anybody needs to restore, all of those reports from everybody on the team lands in one channel. And so everybody can kind of review each other's work, see where they're at, and they kind of flow in, you know, one every couple of hours or so, one here, one there. And then if there are any impediments, usually the right person will reach out directly to that person and say, you know, rather than eating anybody's individual, you know, a group of people's times, they'll just say, hey, what's your problem? How can I help you? Or somebody will say, hey, you know, Chuck, you need to go talk to so-and-so and make you go fetch whoever, or just point you in the right direction to solve your problem. So it's
like a project management tool. And I think recently, I'm not sure it was in the roadmap or one of Evan's articles, but he said there was going to be a move forward to have more transparency and actually open this up so people can see that project management ticketing system, so people know who's doing what. I don't know what the ETA of that is, but how do you personally feel about that? Because we're going to know what you're doing day in,
exactly.
What's playing. I mean, I've worked in IT, so like I don't know if you guys Prince too. I don't know if the certification goes over there, but I've got a history of that, and I can imagine. I know what it's like working with other teams, and people do butt heads, and people do have other ideas. But having that all open up, especially, I mean, you know better than anyone else. Like over in the UK, when I was in IT, they used to say like 80% of IT projects were always, you know, went over the budget or went over
over time, over budget, over scope, whatever.
So you open yourself up to criticism a hell of a lot.
Yes. So yeah, he did mention that, and I'm very mixed on it. I'm simultaneously extremely excited and extremely fearful. I know that it's going to be noisy, and we're going to need probably dedicated people just to handle the noise so that it's filtered down to what's real and what's not real. And hopefully only the real stuff comes in and only the real stuff goes out. Like that would be my hope. I feel like, you know, at least 80% of the team, probably more, 100% of the team, as far as I've dealt with, is going to be able to communicate in ways that will output valuable information in such a flow. And the hope is that everybody would be using the system in a way that it doesn't interrupt with their flow, like it's just part of their flow, so that it doesn't get in the way of development. And that's really the thing that we need to balance is. And so what I anticipate will probably happen is there will be some kind of traditional buffer placed between the developers and that open channel, probably in the line of project managers that will, you know, kind of filter what's real, what's not real, and maintain, you know, more technical levels of detailed conversations with the public. That would be my guess, based on what I've heard.
So, I like the idea. Yeah, I think we should move towards that. We always try to model core, or I always try to follow their lead. And yeah, I would like to do something like that. Right now, we do everything in Slack and Trello. But yeah, I like that Jira or Jara. Yeah.
Yeah, me and Brian want to know, Chuck, when are you going to do a guest article on Dash Force News? Come on,
man! I know.
Cough it up.
I would like to. I really would like to. I want to get into that, but
you're a busy man. But you could do so much stuff. It wouldn't even have to be evolution thing, because you could just you know, most of our articles are 300 to 500 words, right?
Yeah.
But you know, you could do things on why user experience is so essential. But I know you're a busy man. You've obviously got commitments. But there's I mean, the marketing thing was well received in the Q2 report, but with the whole CMO proposal and stuff, there is a lot of noise the word marketing was the buzzword last month, and lots of people are asking for Core to communicate more, open more channels.
Yeah.
And one of the balls and bats that I've been trying to hit home is to say, whether it's in terms of press releases from Waterman PR or from Daniel Diaz in Core or whatever, we've got that platform now to be that mouthpiece for you, because now the website is effectively translated into 6 languages. That's much more effective than just putting it on like a Medium blog or something else, because we've got links to all the international community. And it's not like I feel like I'm bullying you here, but like
no. So here's the thing. I completely agree. All right, and it's something that so as a developer, the team wants to see you writing code, you know, and not necessarily authoring articles. And so that can be a frustrating thing for people who have certain kinds of expectations out of you. However, me personally, I've been advocating to the team to say, hey, look, you know, I would love to do this sort of thing. And I don't know if anybody else who's in Core Team, I can't speak for anybody, but I don't know how many other people are interested in actually engaging with the public in the way that I'm excited about engaging with the public. I love going to meetups. I would love to write articles. I like showing up on this stuff. But it's just a matter of like, I have to, like, I've been contracted to do a certain kind of work, and, you know, these kinds of things don't fall in that category. So that's not the commitment that I made to the team, you know, basically.
Yeah.
So as much as I would like to do it, I would have to keep it outside of like Dash time and just personal time. So
yeah,
and that means taking, you know, not sleeping at night or whatever decision I make, because I enjoy doing that sort of thing. So that's what it means at this point. And unless somebody tells me otherwise, like, hey, Chuck, just deliver an article, take a day, do a couple articles or show up on this thing or whatever, you know, then I'll go gung-ho for it. We'll get it done.
Yeah, I triggered Mark by saying Trello because he knows I've had the Chuck Williams Trello thing. Every week I move it. It gets moved every week. Chuck's it's been moving for a month or so.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Well, it's like we want to open channels. And the thing is, like, I know I wasn't a writer coming into Dashforce News either. So, like, I'm the behind the scenes guy, right? Although I do the images and everything, we kind of brainstorm the stories, what we should do, articles throughout the day, right? And try to schedule it on Trello throughout the week. Mm-hmm. But I do appreciate sitting down and writing an article. It is a time-consuming process. However, I do think although the podcast Free Amigos is still in its infancy, this is episode 9, I think if we can pin down 1 or 2 people from Core just once a month, each Friday, because it's quite informal, it's enjoyable, but we kind of got that, you know, ask me anything, live chat kind of vibe, and it is kind of a relaxed, informal vibe. Obviously, it's like gone 10 p.m. here, so I'm allowed a cheeky beer. But yeah, I think it's really helpful, and I really do think it makes a difference. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. Like, as I mentioned, I played that role of liaison, you know, between technical teams and business teams for a long time. And at this point, I look at the Masternode network as, you know, my executive team. And I'm trying to figure out ways that I can communicate to them all simultaneously the exact same information about, hey, what's going on with the project? Where are we at? You know, like, everybody's looking for it. I know that you're the most vested parties that are interested. So, you know, that's why I would like that. Like, if you know, hey, I'll just throw it out to Andy. I'm sure he won't have a problem with it. And say, hey, look, man, I'm going to show up monthly on here, and this is what I'm going to talk about. And he'll tell me, don't say this and this and this, but you can talk about this.
Yes, I'm yet to talk with Andy, but he's a fellow Brit as well. So I don't actually know where he's located and based at the moment, but I look forward to meeting him. But just to be clear to everyone watching, it's not that Core are refusing to do this. It's just establishing those links and communications. In fact, CoinGun, Jeff Smith, was meant to be coming on today's show, but unfortunately he was round a friend's house in a cabin in Canada, and apparently they're on like satellite internet there, and the connection was just too poor to happen. So, and I personally would like to get Robert, project manager, on at some stage as well, because I think we share a lot of similar interests because we're both in like PR, communications, marketing. So I'm sure we've got a lot of parallels that we can go from as well. So,
and Robert's one that I work with very closely. So he and I showing up would probably have some various angles on the picture.
Yeah. So I think there is a lot of things moving forward, and I think the people are going to demand it, but we're going to have you on again. So don't feel pressure on the guest articles. I had to ask, but yes, please do come on the Free Amigos podcast. I mean, we kind of see this as our downtime, informal sort of thing to kind of give the community their chance to have their kind of say and just talk about things that happen throughout the week. And I think that is kind of important because just like proposals that get approved and funded, we often forget about them because we're always excited about the next thing. So,
right. Well, I mean, we can plan on next Friday for now, and then maybe go and see how that goes. See if it eats into my time too much.
Yeah, we'll give you an open invitation, and Mark can just post a link every time. And if you want to pop in, you pop in if you got time. And yeah,
that'd be great.
Fingers crossed we'll have Charlie Shrem next week. So it's the ongoing joke now. This will be like 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah. I know you've been pinging him.
Oh my God. Yeah. So hopefully he will come through. Do you know anything about that? Like, have you got any juice? But this is the confusion, right? A few weeks back, there was a rumor going around that there was going to be an announcement from Ryan and Charlie himself regarding the Dash Pay card. But then nothing happened. So I don't know if that was just pure speculation, but it kind of got everyone talking. It's obviously been 17 weeks since he's updated the post on the Dash forums. I know it's not your avenue, but have you heard anything about that at all? Or is it just...
No. Basically, it's, I've been heads down on evolution. Well, not only, I mean, I think there may be other channels where conversations are happening, but my view is limited to core team, evolution, some amount of project management, and the website. So
yeah, do you get involved in proposals at all? Like, do you look at what's coming up and like get excited about it,
I probably hit the forums once or twice a week just to see what's going on, and sometimes I'll send my opinions to trusted people and maybe not publish them through the Slack channels and say, hey, based on, on this one, because I'm not a masternode owner. So, and I don't know who is, but like, I'll send a note to Ryan, and say, hey, if ignore it or accept it, like, here's my thoughts on this thing, as a professional, here's what I think, that kind of thing. And I just offer it up, and you can take it or leave it. And that's kind of thing I do.
In Dash Force, it's a UK parliamentary term, but Brian would be the equivalent of the chief whip. So basically, in our mission statement in Dash Force, whether it's reviews, proposals, or news in general, we want to keep a balanced, unbiased point of view so we can give the best sources of information. So if we do get in situations, especially on the podcast, where if there's any criticisms, Brian's, always saying, we've always got to be balanced. Someone's got to play good cop, bad cop. We've got to be, and it's kind of dangerous. Like when we first launched Dash Force News website, we had David Dinkins do a technical analysis article.
Oh, like chart technical analysis.
Yeah, but I think Core felt afterwards that, and rightfully so, that core members shouldn't really be speculating and passing that information on because it kind of is a conflict of interest. So that's kind of why the new TA guy we've got is actually external and is a sort of currency Forex trader. So we can get that sort of unbalanced point of view. I don't know if you're interested in that sort of stuff anyway.
I used to trade on the Forex many years ago, and I brought some of the skills. Yeah, so I do some technical analysis myself.
Okay, I got to crack the whip. We got to wrap up. We got to save some questions, Chuck, for the next month. We're going to run out of questions for him. Yeah.
I'm not done with you, Chuck.
I'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Should I wrap this up then?
Yes. Please.
Wow, what an amazing episode, and a special guest. Thank you to Chuck for coming along. I had no idea. It was a pleasant surprise. Guys, I know we've gone crazy over time, but I'm like a kid in a candy store with Chuck, so I had so many questions to ask. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you for asking the questions. Thanks for joining us on Dash Force News, the Free Amigos. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. Keep it locked to dashforcenews.com. And we'll see you next Friday. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend and take care for now. Bye for now. Say bye, guys.
See ya.
Take care.
Laters.